Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. In case you didn't know, what's going on, everybody? So, let's see how everything is going here. I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay, we're good. Um, anyway, if you guys could be so kind as to turn your phones sideways and hit that like button, por favor, seriously, because it'll get more people in here. Oh, maybe make some of these things worth my time, damn it. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for showing up. Let's see, we've got a couple of books to go through here. We're going to start with Cable, issue number 1. Then we're going to get to X-Men, issue number 8, and then New Mutants, issue number 9. So we've got 3 books to get to. Boom shakalaka, baby. All right, so Cable, excuse me, and I liked all 3 of them. Just to give you guys a quick heads up, let me put this down a little bit. Okay, so Cable issue. Oh, excuse me. I ate some chocolate really quick to perk myself up, wake myself up, and whoo. So Cable issue number 1. This is a $4.99 cover price. Not so bad since it's pretty much a double-sized issue. Is it a fully double-sized issue? It looks like it might be. It might be just one of those 32 pagers. Anyway, I didn't bother to like flip through and count everything. It's funny. They pretty much tell you the entire story on the front. Look at that. Everything is there. Every single thing is there, man. They are not clowning around. Like, wow. If you're an old school ROM fan, you're gonna love this issue because they bringing back some stuff. Okay, the book is like my fingers are really dry or something. I can't seem to. There we go. Okay, so Jerry Dugan is the writer, Phil Noto on art, VC's Joe Sabino on letters, Tom Mueller doing the design, Phil Noto doing the cover art. So pretty much Phil Noto doing all of the art. This is an issue number 1. So there's a lot of people doing the the variant covers, and Nick Russell doing production. Head of X is, of course, Jonathan Hickman on all these books, and this issue is called Big Guns, which he says he doesn't like in the first place, talking about Cable. All right, so we start off with Wolverine slicing up one of Cable's guns, and look how, like, I'm sorry, this is the one thing that I'm going to make my big complaint about here. This just looks like children fighting. It looks like it's, chibi kitty Wolverine fighting kid Cable, and only one of them is actually supposed to be a kid, Y'all remember back when I complained that there was an issue of X-Men, I think it was X-Men, where what's his face? Cable was hanging out in Jean Grey's living room, and that's technically his mom. Like he was actually born to the clone one. Anyway, and she was sitting there like chopping up some stuff, like she's Donna Reed, like she's some old school '50s mom or something like that. And Joni Cunningham, saying something like that from Happy Days, and Cable's there hanging out with Raza, and they're both talking about their guns. And at one point, he's like, "Mom, can I trade guns with Raza?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, after dinner or something like that." And I was just so completely taken aghast by how silly that was. And everybody tried to reassure me. All you guys try to reassure me. I think it's just a joke. I think it's just silly. Well, that's fine and all, except it doesn't seem to have been a joke at all. So, like, they're really sticking with the idea this is a very immature version of Cable. Oh, he's capable of killing, but he's still very immature. Come on, man. I'm sorry. Like, this isn't that typical child soldier type thing going on. Anyway, he's still Cable. He doesn't have the full-fledged metal arm thing going. So he is kind of Nate Gray-y in here, Nate Gray-ish, in that, he's able to stop Wolverine dead. Like, oh, you can't do anything. My TK is too powerful for you, my telekinesis. And like Callisto, who's won like every tournament she's been in, she's been in the most tournaments. She's just like, hey, what's up? And you got like all these guys, Gorgon over here. He's looking at them. That's funny. Looking at them, going, you got this, man. And he's like drunk off his freaking gourd. What the hell am I looking at here, man? Anyway, he causes himself to weigh a whole lot, and he's on top of Wolverine. And afterwards, like, please don't kill me. It's like, so you used a trick to win, blah, 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 whatever. It just, I'm getting real tired of this. You see the stands in the back. They're all like Wolverine. They all got the freaking letters on and whatnot. And apparently they're not supposed to necessarily kill each other in this. And they're like, hey. So this is the, what the heck is this? Is this called the Crucible? Come on, can I have some? The Quarry. The official record of combat in the Quarry. So I'm going to get to that in a hot moment. But Wolverine gets pissed because, it's like, you put these things on me, and he rips them off and whatnot. And he apparently wasn't able to do that before. I don't know, whatever. This just felt really weird. Like, I'm okay with Kid Cable winning. But when you're talking about, this is the pussification of Wolverine, man. And I talked about this a little bit in my individual video. But just to go into it just a little bit more, think about this. It's not the idea that Wolverine got beat. I'm all for Wolverine getting his butt handed to him. I didn't like the way that Wolverine just handed Iron Fist's butt to him. It's like, oh, look, I'm going to schnick my claws back in. I'm going to schnack my claws back inside. I'm going to be like, hoo, ha, hoo, hee, ha. And it's like, they decided to do that with the character, and that was cute at all. The problem is, think about what the problem is. Wolverine, for the most part, has never been able to do that before. That is the one time in history he's ever been able to do this before, where it's like, holy crap, he literally just beat the living crap out of this guy. Like, Iron Fist's thing is to punch people, to do martial arts to people. Wolverine's thing is to slice people up. But now he just out martial arts this guy. When you got Wolverine and Captain America being able to go pretty much toe to toe, and Wolverine's not holding back, Captain America is, and they're both seemingly kind of equal on that. I'm good. All right. When you've got Wolverine holding back a lot and still able to just clown Iron Fist, look at what that issue did. This is the issue that most people refer to say Wolverine is a masterclass martial artist because, look, he took out Iron Fist in a heartbeat. When you got silly little things like that, please show me one other time. Oh, it's apparently time for the Dawn of X thing right now. Yeah, I know. I decided to go a little early for you guys. So we know that Wolverine is a trained martial artist. He's a ninja and a samurai, and he's freaking awesome. He's the best there is at what he does, but what he does isn't very nice. I get it. But when you over project on what Wolverine is able to do, all it does is humiliate the other characters, especially when it's really only happened once, But now, look at what just happened here. Here's this character, Kid Cable, and he just chumped Wolverine. At least it was acknowledged in the background that everybody was voting, oh, Wolverine's definitely going to win because they got all the stands and the fans back here. But to have him just so easily chumped like that, and Kid Cable's not even caring. It's not even like it was a hard-fought battle and, oh man, I'm sweating and all this stuff. No, Wolverine just got his butt straight up handed to him, and it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. Brett Stockmeyer. Why do I know that name? I always figured Wolverine wasn't really a straight gladiator fighter. He's more effective at coming at someone from behind or the side that head on. Well, that could work, except if we remember back in the X-Force issues when Wolverine finally met Shatterstar and Shatterstar bowed to him. They were about to be in the middle of a fight and Shatterstar was like, no, and he just bowed to him. And Wolverine's like, I kind of like this kid. Saying like that. It was a fun moment and all that. And it was the idea of, it doesn't matter if Shatterstar can beat Wolverine or not. It's the idea that he respects him for the great warrior that he is. So Wolverine is a fantastic warrior. I don't think he should be, I'm just going to punk out Iron Fist. And like, what's the point of Iron Fist even being on the team at this point, I don't think he should punk people out. But I also don't think that Wolverine should be punked out quite so easily also. Honestly, what's the purpose of even having brought him back to life in the first place? We're still dealing with the repercussions of, I'm going to say it, and I don't want anybody to get pissed off at me. Don't start sending electroshocks through the system. Thank God we don't have that. But you remember the hot claws? I'm saying the hot claws, bro. They brought him back, and it's like, we were happy just to get the actual old school OG Wolverine back. And they turn around just like, Well, let's also add some hot claws because somebody asked for that. And where are the hot claws, ladies and gentlemen? What happened to the hot claws? No, no, no. I don't want them back. That's one of those things I'm more than happy to just allow it to disappear, right? But like when you do silly little things like this and you don't bother getting like a test audience, and I'm sorry, I just don't think this is that difficult to do. You could do it in a survey. You could do it in a freaking newsletter or on a Twitter feed. You could just be like, hey, if Wolverine had something that he could do, what about bang, 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 bang? Have some people vote, make sure that none of them, none of the above is one of the things, and make sure you read through the comments, at least skim through them and see. Well, I suggested hot claws, and most people were like, that's some straight up bullshit. I don't want to see this nonsense. What the F is wrong with you? Hey, there's your test audience. There's your survey. It's not that difficult. I don't see that as being very difficult. Granted, one of my specialties is marketing. So what do I know? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, he just got straight up punked out in this. Now, he got a marker. The marker is cool. I'm thinking they're talking about are they talking about the actual gambling markers, or they talk like they're actually passing up magic markers? Because if it turns out they were passing up magic markers, like whiteboard markers, I'm laughing my ass off. I'm thinking that's freaking great. I'm thinking that's just perfect. I'm down with this. I want to see some freaking markers being passed around. It's like, yeah, no, no, no. I got enough blacks. I want that red. No, no, no. I beat you fair and square. Unless you want to see more red, I want that red in my hand. I want to see them actually passing up markers with each other. That's what I want to see. Call me silly. I'm okay with that. Anyway, there was a cool moment in here where Wolverine's like, hey, Silver Samurai, when are you and I going to go at it? He's like, oh, so you want to keep on losing in this arena, right? So anyway, there have been, what is this, 11? Oh, 13. 13 battles in here, and you can see the winners on this side and the losers on this side and how they lost. There was also mentioned that Ilyana Rasputin, Magic from the New Mutants, she actually lost by DQ. Nobody else has lost by DQ because for the most part there are no rules to be broken, right? But somehow she managed to break a rule. If there's any character who's going to do that, yes, I 100% believe that she would be the one to do it. She would find a way to cheat so bad that she does wind up getting, booted out of it. Anyway, nobody has did not finish, which is cool. Anyway, so yeah, Cable won just now against Wolverine. Callisto won the past 3 times. At the same point, she won against Pyro. Okay, legit. She also won against Fish. I'm trying to remember who Fish is. I don't remember Fish. Anyway, and then Jumbo Carnation. Y'all remember Jumbo Carnation? He's in the comic books right now. He's the one that gave her that white outer coat where she ripped the sides, and he's like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" He's got like the forearms, and he's like big, heavy, and baldish. He's got like a thing on top, and he's basically the stylist for the White Queen, Emma Frost, right over in the Marauders book. And I'm just like, dude, what the heck am I looking at right now? What am I looking at right now? So somehow these two got into a fight with each other. So she's just pretty much stacking the deck to make it look like she's beating everybody's butt. Because at first I'm like, whoa, she was in the last 3 fights and she won all 3 of them. It's like, but yeah, Pyro legit. Fish, I don't know, and Jumbo Carnation, that's not legit. So she's just trying to stack the deck right now. Leech versus Artie looked like that could have been a lot of fun. Dazzler versus Jubilee, hells to the yes. And you know what? You know what probably powered Dazzler's light powers? Because it's all that sound. You know what probably boosted it? Jubilee was probably nothing but monologuing the entire time. Oh my God, I'm going to kick your butt. You're going to go down. Pop, 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 pop with all the freaking firecrackers. Oh, hurry up. I got to kick your butt really quick because I got to get back to my son really quick. And I got to do this. And she's just like, you know what? Let me just get all the sound and then pow, and just blasted her. Anyway, so all these different fights, that's kind of cool. M, I'm trying to think. M, what is M? Because that's not Apocalypse. Who the heck is M on here? I'm forgetting who is M. Somebody in the chat, somebody throw that at me, please. Exactly, crying about Shogo. That's what I was thinking. But somebody throw in who M is really quick because I'm blanking on that one. But M versus Bishop, that seemed interesting. Anyway, so Cable is hanging out with Karma and Armor, and all of a sudden this kid comes up and it's like, hey, check it out. My friend got lost out there. And oh, Monet, stupid. Yeah, duh, I know freaking Monet. Yeah, no wonder. Cable got his butt handed to him. And she was probably making fun of him the whole time. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. That yeah, that one I'm cool because I'm just like, come on, man, you can't just be chumping out Bishop like this. But if it's Monet, it makes sense. So anyway, there's this mutant down here, and she's running around and she, it, whatever is running around doing whatever. I don't know who this mutant is. And all of a sudden, this big monster comes out of nowhere, and it literally, like the way that it's drawn. I'm sorry, I loves me some Phil Noto, but this I read this book before. It's called Where the Wild Things Are. And he gnashed his teeth and he crawled his crawl. And I love that book. I love that book. I read it once a month minimum to my kids because it's a freaking awesome book. But I don't want to see where the goddamn wild things are in my freaking Cable book. What the hell am I looking at here? This is just chumpy. It's silly. Anyway, it gets even worse when all of a sudden it turns out that Pixie drugs the kid so he doesn't see what's going on. And it's like, oh, look. And he's this big freaking Winnie the Pooh looking heffalump thing running after them. I'm like, dude, come on now. Like, it's cool. I love that they actually showed all of that. But after a while, it's like the art on this, it doesn't even look like watercolors were used. Look at it. It looks like it was a bleeding magic marker. That's what it looks like to me. It was a runny, leaky magic marker. And I'm just really disappointed in the art in this. I mean, it was fun. It was fun. But come on now. So some of the art actually looked pretty good, like armor in here. Every scene with armor looked really good. I like it. I'm just not digging what Noto's trying to do here. Like he's trying to do a different style, and I'm not digging on this. Armor and Kid Cable. I just don't like Kid Cable. I just don't, I want to. He seems like the kind of character I would love, but he's just not been written in a way that I'm digging on him. I don't want to see him and Armor get together. I don't want to see any of this nonsense. So anyway, it turns out that this is the oldest, tropiest freaking thing in the freaking that you could possibly imagine. Oh, comics expertise, everybody. Yeah, I agree. It was a very funny thing. I'm talking about the art. The art itself just wasn't great to me. Anyway, so the problem that I'm having on here is the tropiest freaking bedtime story ever. It might as well be grandma um, on the other side of the forest, on the other side of this path, sleeping in bed. And it turns out the big bad wolf ate her. You know what I'm saying? And the woodsman's got to come and help out Little Red Riding Hood. Like, that's what this might as well be because it's this big monster. By the way, the reason why the monster is there is because Krakoa swallowed Aroko, whatever. Now it's Krakoa, Arakoa, whatever thing is. So, yeah, there was monsters on that island apparently. Way to explain that stuff, Hickman. Way to explain that stuff. So there's all these monsters over there and rah, 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 whatever. Anyway, so here's where it just gets tropey. This monster is raging because it stepped on something. It stepped on something, so it's got something stuck in its foot. In order for the monster to stop raging like this, you got to pull this thing out of its foot. This is some straight story time crap right here, man. And like, I don't read comics for bedtime stories unless it's like Saga, saying which they can incorporate stuff like that. I guess you could do stuff like that, but I mean, come on now. This is just a little bit weird to me. Anyway, and plus the art again, I've got to complain about the art on this, man. That doesn't look like he's pulling out a sword until you read what comes afterwards. Right there, it looks like it was some kind of a torch, like a lightsaber bottom, and then there's like a stick, like a shish kebab stick, and an olive. Look, it's got the little red thing, the little heart, whatever in it, the fire pit. Anyway, and there's the olive, and it looks like it was just ripped out, like almost Dragon Ball Z style. I'm like, what is this? And then later on, you turn it, and then it's like, oh, it's a sword, and for some reason, there's this big line in the middle with a hole inside on the top. And oh, I get it. Okay, I get it. I get it now. Anyway, so here's where it actually does start to get fun, though. You've got the Space Knights in here. Now, real quick, ROM the Space Knight, for anybody who doesn't know, is a character who was a toy made by Mattel, I think, back in the day. Long time ago, and it was this big, boxy, stupid, ugly thing. It was this really freaking ugly toy. Let me see if I can't find this really quick. Original ROM. toy. Let me see if I can actually bring this ugly thing up because it was effing ugly, dude. It was so ugly. There we go, this big old boxy thing. Let me see if I can I bring that page up? Now you're just gonna be silly with me, right? Come on now. Come on now. I don't want to actually show the. You know what? Who cares? Anyway, you can look it up on yourself because I'm just saying this is just really ugly. So anyway, it's the basic design. They got the basic design down. Marvel took it. They made it a whole lot skinnier instead of this big boxy hunk of plastic, which lit up every so often, made some noises. They didn't make any enemies for it. They didn't make any friends for it. It was just ROM, ROM. Cute. So here's what happened. They decided, let's try and promote this in a comic book, as most toy companies did. It wasn't always safe to try the expensive, hey man, check it out, let's do a TV show. Most people couldn't afford to do the TV shows. And even if they could, they would still do the comic book also. Think about He-Man, think about G.I. Joe, think about Transformers, you can think about Darth Vader, like the whole Star Wars trilogy. You can think about Star Trek. You can think about all these different kind of toys that became comic books very shortly afterwards. And like most stories, one of these days I'm hoping there's the Toys That Made Us about ROM the Space Knight. I'm kind of giving the gist of it right now. So if one of the creators of Toys That Made Us are watching, hey, here's your introduction. It just made some stupid noise, and nobody knew what the noises were for. It's a neuralizer and all these crazy things. And they said, hey, Marvel Comics, here's this character. Would you like to do something with it? Here's the license. Go ahead, have fun. So they're like, oh, how long do we have this license for? Gave him a certain number of years, and it was a good number of years. All right, let's rock on. So he gave him this amazing storyline where they have to give up most of their body because the people from Galador, they made up the name Galador. They made up the word Space Knight. They made up the dire wraiths that they had to fight, and the idea that dire wraiths can actually transform. They're kind of like scrolls. They can shapeshift, but they're mostly messing with your mind because they're using a form of magic, space magic. And when he goes around and starts, getting rid of these guys who attacked his planet, it looks like they're actually being killed. But in reality, he's just teleporting them inside this phantom zone type thing with his gun. So the people are just like, oh my God. And ROM the Space Knight is this big, terrifying metal monster that's going around killing regular people because everybody thinks that they're regular people. Doesn't realize that they're right because he's got a detector to be able to tell that they're actually this thing. And these guys, Galador was almost completely wiped out. So a lot of them became Space Knights by giving up their arms and their legs, most of their body, and being put inside of this suit that they can go out and do things. And that's so Marvel got to keep certain things like the term Space Knight. They got to keep the term Galador. They got to keep actually I don't know if they get to keep the dire wraiths. I forget. I think they can, but I'm not sure if they can or not. Anyway, there's some things that they got to keep, but for the most part, these knuckleheads at Mattel or whatever it was kept most of they're like, oh, all the licensing stuff is ours. So Marvel gave them an entire storyline to work with. So they tried to release toys they couldn't afford to, and they wanted to screw the whole thing up. What do you call it? We were hoping, really hoping for a while that this property was going to go over to Marvel at some point, that Marvel was actually going to try and buy. And I'm wondering, can Disney actually buy the property? Because James Gunn has said one of his favorite characters of all time is ROM the Space Knight. So how cool would it be? Think about it. He's not overly infatuated with certain characters, including Nova, right? If you don't like a character, don't do him. But if you love a character, you're going to do a good job by him. Imagine if Disney could buy ROM the Space Knight, because right now you can find ROM the Space Knight and a current Dire Wraith series over in IDW. But all of that original information started off with Marvel. Their people kicked butt, took names, and made it an incredible comic book. I highly recommend it. Anyway, they obviously get to keep a lot of stuff because Space Knight, Galador, all this stuff. There's this one particular unnamed Space Knight that was out kicking butt, taking names, and this monster came along and jacked his booty up. And oh, actually, did they say Dire Wraiths in here? Sorry, I'm reading. I hear armor, but I can't respond. Millions of miles away in the past, I'm a space knight named Morn, Morn. I'm the first of my kind. Oh, so the very first, yeah, he's called the Light of Galador, so he's the first space knight. I pursue monsters across the galaxy, arrive on primordial Earth, so this is before there is a real Earth. The fight ends like all others, but there's an even bigger prey here, and it's the big effing monster. Anyway, they show, here's the thing, they don't actually say dire wraiths, but these things look an awful lot like the dire wraiths. So maybe they're going to wind up giving them a different name. All of these things, I don't know, but they're welcome to, and I'll still be there for it because hell's to the yes. So anyway, this thing destroyed the original Galadorian knight, the original space knight, and then ate him. But it got the sword stuck in its paw. So this sword has been stuck in this monster's paw since primordial Earth times. Like, come on now. It never found a way to get this damn thing out. But with Cable's massive amounts of telekinesis, which granted was set up pretty well in the beginning of this comic book against Wolverine. Did I just turn myself off? No, I didn't. It was set off pretty well in the beginning of this comic book, but that being said, yes, Rogue's second appearance was in a ROM comic book. It was issue number 17, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, so yeah, we see all sorts of crazy stuff in here. Cable, what do you call it? Cyclops is in every single one of these books. So anyway, the main thing that's happening here, because a whole bunch of other space knights have been on a museum or in a museum on some other planet in some other galaxy, really far away, and all of a sudden they activate because one of the swords has awoken, so they start traveling towards Earth because they got some business to handle. Cable at one point says, "Oh yeah, man, I'm mostly in love with the idea of kicking butt and taking names with these freaking things over here and whatnot." Anyway, off in some other galaxy, the real Cable, or at least one of the other adult Cables, shows up, and he's trying to make his way back to Earth after he exterminates a bunch of bad guys here. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff going down. What do you call it? Cable is going to try and make his way back. This thing in the back, entry number 1, the hunt. So I imagine there's going to be at least one entry for real-time Cable in each one of these issues, which I'm looking forward to seeing. I really am, because this was kind of cool. But he talks about how he's going to continue this update, this log. This is entry number 1. I've rooted out the Legion of Demons on Earth. Demons, huh? And these demons, coincidentally enough, look like they could very well be versions of dire wraiths, or at least some other version that Marvel's going to be using. So anyway, they've cursed me and sworn they will have vengeance. I don't believe in curses, but I do believe in vengeance, so I've arranged to transport to their territory and pursue them until the job is done. The lives of the hostages will remain my top priority. Interesting. So they have fled off-world with hostages from Earth. So they've got a bunch of Earth hostages. Making my path through this hell of arrows formed by rocks. Locals fear they are magic and don't understand, are giving them a wide berth. So, here's the thing. Time is short for the hostages and for Earth. I suspect that the demons are attempting to replicate the old spell that caused Earth to nearly burn in an inferno of hellfire. Okay, so here's where things get super interesting. Everybody remembers X-Men Inferno, yes? X-Men Inferno, the very first true crossover event, not between Marvel and DC. That's what people think of all the time. No, between all of the X-Men comic books, or a whole bunch of different, comics. The first truly expansive one. All right. This was amazing. Involved Mr. Sinister, involved Madeline Pryor, it involved a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and it was wild. And there were demons there. Demons like mailboxes became demons, lampposts and stuff like they were all mimics from Dungeons and Dragons, but they were straight demons. They were fell creatures. Where'd these demons come from? Oh, we about to find out. Marvel is now, from my understanding of this comic book, we are combining the demons of Inferno with what have you now, the dire wraiths. So we're actually giving a new name to these things and combining them and making that the case. Is this what the new Inferno comic book is going to be about? Because if it is, sign me up. I will continue reading the Cable comic book, and I'm really looking forward to the Inferno comic book. Oh, bring the noise. If I'm completely wrong, we good. We good. Yes, dire wraiths have been all over the place, Jamal. Good point. They've been all over the place. The trick is when Mattel or whatever took the license back, they decided to let the license expire at Marvel because they didn't want to keep on paying them to do this stuff, and Marvel was making a lot of money off of it. And then they eventually brought it to IDW. Marvel wasn't allowed to use a lot of what was done there. So they can change a bunch of things. They can change a bunch of things and still use the ideas that they did, but like the names and certain things they can't use anymore. So I don't believe they can use the term dire wraiths anymore. Anyway, so that is super interesting. A lot of really good stuff in this comic book. I'm not a huge fan of the way they're making Kid Cable. Um, as long as our Cable is coming back, then I'm okay. Whatever. Put him on the New Mutants. Have him do whatever he wants to do. I really just don't care. But yeah, it is what it is. Whole lot of spacey stuff with the X-Men as of late, isn't there? Because you got all this crazy stuff going on with freaking my son just asked me, is freaking an adult word? Because like when he hears, me and mommy curse sometimes, it's like, these are adult words, right? Yeah, this is adult word. You can't say that. So he just asked today, my oldest son, is freaking a curse word or an adult word? I was like, yes. Or no, it's a teenage word. So when you turn 10 years old, you can say it too. It's like, really? Something to look forward to, huh? So anyway, um, a lot of space stuff, the Technarchy and all this other crazy stuff, and now this stuff with the dire race, all the stuff with the Shi'ar, right? We're about to take it to a whole new damn level. Oh, and the stuff that the New Mutants did, that's important because that comes back to roost in the X-Men issue number 8. So X-Men issue number 8, we have a bunch with the New Mutants in here. There's a lot of butt happening in this book, man. Like look at the butt. They got the butts here. They got the butts all over the place. Anyway, this right here, we find out later on that this is actually the king egg. So we all know about how dangerous that the brood are supposed to be. This is the brood. The Brood are supposed to be Marvel's version of Alien, the xenomorphs. All right, so Alien versus Predator and all that stuff. The aliens are supposed to be represented here in Marvel as the Brood. So they're very intelligent. They can speak. They're scientists. Like they're way more dangerous, for all intents and purposes, and they can still swarm like the Zerg, right? There's always been different versions of the aliens. So they just straight up kicking some butt and taking some freaking names, baby. So um, what do you call it? Um, double digits, Jamal. Shut your mouth. Don't give me an attitude, all right? Just because the word teen isn't there. I'm giving him something to look forward to. Anyway, so we know about these guys, and we know that the queen is always the most dangerous of these xenomorph type things, including the freaking the Zerg, the Brood. All right. Well, now we're finding out about the kings and all these crazy things that they can do. So there's a king egg. That's what they wound up getting in the New Mutants, if you remember recently. That's what the Starjammers were supposed to go and get from these knuckleheads. More on that later. The Starjammers were supposed to go and get this egg as a prize. We thought for the Imperiatrix, whatever the hell, the Magister, basically, Gladiator. Right? They're supposed to bring it to him. Well, they wound up failing miserably. Again, more on that later. So, you guys remember these things, right? What are these things called again? These leviathans, these space whales. There's a specific name for them. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, these are those big things that that used to always see like this in the MCU, and they started doing them like this also. But there's these big things, and when they wind up being killed, when they wind up dying on their own, or when the brood go and attack them and eat their innards, this is how the brood get around to different parts of the universe. They show up, they go inside of these things, and this is how they get from one part to the other part of the universe in order to get to where they're going. I know, no disrespect, Jamal. I'm just messing with you. Anyway, so yeah, the brood. That's what you see all over these things like maggots. The brood, that's how they travel across space in these giant dead space whales. Like I said, there is an actual name for them. But yeah, oh, there we go. Klestar. Bang. The Acanti. Yes, thank you. I knew I'd recognize it once I saw. Oh, look at this right up here. my man, Wilfredo, Comics Expertise. Go and check out this dude's channel, dude. If you want some cool spoilers in advance, I'm just saying. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, the Acanti. So awesome. Thank you guys. So these um oh yes, we're getting a whole lot of swords. Sorry, I actually meant to talk about that with Cable. Anyway, so the first of the 10 swords is showing up. So the X of swords, the 10 of swords. There's supposed to be 10 swords coming in to the mutant world, and all of the X books, they're going to cross over with each other, and there are going to be 15 issues total. And if you're buying the X-Men books, you're going to get these stories anyway. So there's no extra books to buy necessarily. But all the titles are going to cross over and have the 10 of Swords, whatever storyline. So 15 issues. They're going to be doing this whole thing where all of the X-Men, well, not all the X-Men, 10 of the X-Men are going to get a special sword to go off and do things with. So in Cable issue number 1, we see the first sword revealed. I don't know if all of them are going to be the Space Knight swords, but this particular one is. So, bang. Anyway, there's a whole second something's coming thing, and they're really playing off the idea of Something Wicked This Way Comes, a Ray Bradbury book, which was a really amazing book, a really crappy movie. Honestly, I can't recommend seeing the movie. There's a cool, scary spider scene in there, but aside from that, nah. Skip the movie, read the book if you want to have some fun with it. It's not a very long book, but it's some really good sci-fi action in there. This issue is called Swarm. Perfect. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby created the original X-Men. Jonathan Hickman is the writer for this book, X-Men issue number 8. Muhammad Asrar on art. Lanil Francis Yu and Sunny Rowe doing the covers. The colors are all done by Sunny Rowe specifically, and VC's Clayton Cowles does the letters. The design is by Tom Mueller. So, boom, we got, and of course Jordan D. White. He's the editor for all the X-Men. He's the one who decides where the X-Men go and where they don't, for the most part. Dude was just sick recently, or still is sick recently. Let's hope it's not Corona or COVID-19. Let's hope that he's going to be okay. Honestly, like, thoughts and prayers. It's the best that I can do. But honestly, like, Jordan, we're thinking about you, brother. I hope that you're okay because you deserve better. Anyway, let's get started with, let's get back into this. So a whole lot is happening here with The Fault. If anybody's not familiar with The Fault, you need to read The War of Kings. All right. I think it's only like 6 issues long. Anyway, there's a big thing in there with all these super powerhouses in the cosmic Marvel universe. And it pretty much all came down to a huge battle between Vulcan. That's the brother of, that's another Summers brother. So Havoc and Cyclops, their brother. Vulcan here, a super ridiculously uber powerful mutant right there. Where, like, if Wolverine ever steps up a little bit too close to Cyclops, he don't have to say much except, Gabe, kick his ass. Done. Done. There's not too many asses he can't kick. Just saying. Anyway, he got into a knockdown, drag out, slobber knocker, as Jim Ross from the WWE would say, with Black Bolt. This is when he proved himself worthy of being the Midnight King. Now, they both technically died in this. Prophecy being what it is, we got Black Bolt back immediately. I don't remember ever seeing Vulcan since. All right. All of a sudden, it shows here he never actually died. He never actually died. Okay. Interesting. So there's going to be a lot of splaining to do, and I hope they don't just leave it like that, because I think that that's an amazing story that they could tell. Anyway, so go and read the War of Kings. One of these days I'll get around to doing a spotlight and story for it, but I say that about everything, so it might never happen, but we'll try. We'll try. What do you call it? So Shi'ar battle record, bang, all this crazy stuff to try and catch you up with everything that's been happening here. An excerpt on Kalark, Gladiator, Black Bolt, and Vulcan. So go and check all of these parts in here. And basically here, the whole falling thing, basically Vulcan's just a drunk. And I'm cool with that because he really is freaking crazy. Emperor Vulcan, he's freaking crazy. The guy's a loon. Anyway, here's the really important stuff. This is where Brew shows up. If you're not overly familiar with Brew, he's a brood mutant. What's the special power he's got, Professor Bill? The special power is as simple as this. He has the ability to feel empathy. One of the reasons that the Brood are such merciless creatures is they're all essentially sociopaths. They don't care about each other too much. They don't, and they certainly don't care about the rest of life forms. What can you do for me? I don't care about the symbiotic relationship. I care what you can do for me. Can you actually provide some kind of function for me? If not, I can eat you. You're edible. So that's that. That's the existence of the Brood. Brew is a mutant because he can actually feel empathy. I know there's going to be a few people out there just like, well, that's just silly, blah, 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 blah. No, because now the X-Men have the ability to utilize a very intelligent Brood. A lot of them are super intelligent, a whole lot, but a very intelligent Brood who will actually work with them. That makes it like Brew is one of those characters they could do so much with. This dude should be hanging with Cable and Beast and making things that are going to make the X-Men the premier ultimate strategists and freaking, weapons expertise and defense expertise on the entire planet. Like the Avengers should be like, we got to up the category of these guys, and it could all be because of Brew if they wanted to. Hey, if they ever bring back the Marvel graphic novel, make Warlord Brew. Do something like that. Say I'll write it. I can think of something in a heartbeat if I needed to, because holy crap, there is so much story potential with this character. Moving on. I digress. So he starts talking about how, oh, look, that's, don't you idiots know what that is? That's a king egg. And he starts talking in here like, I love the way that it breaks into it because he's very funny. He's a very funny guy. I'm not quite sure exactly how to put this, but I'll give it my best effort. Listen here, you insane preferred woman. That's a king egg. Oh, also, this is Wolfsbane talking. And she's talking here and it's funny. She says, oh, that's me space booty. I got it with great cunning and guile. I won it in a battle. 'Tis mine. And you can't have it. Sorry. One of the things that I remember Wolfsbane the most for being is the one who says Kenna, okay? Not can't, Kenna. What, is she losing her accent? I don't want Wolfsbane to lose her accent. Rain has an accent. You can lose all the other stuff, but she has to say Kenna, and you Kenna have it. I don't want to see can't. There is no can't here. Y'all failed me, all right? Marvel failed me in this one. It's Kenna, damn it. Anyway, so all of a sudden, here, he talks really quick. So a king egg disrupts the breeding cycle. A king egg makes the queens go to war. More importantly, unless special precautions are taken, a brood hive can smell a king egg from a galaxy away. I guess it's some kind of a psychic smell. But yeah, and all of a sudden, boom, space whales start landing on Krakoa. And suddenly we got a fight on our hands. And this is an awesome fight. Now, y'all know how much I like. I don't know what just happened, but I think I'm fixed now. Anyway, y'all know how much I like me some Cyclops, okay? And I'm just saying, if things get that close to Moonstar, as much as I loves me some Danny Moonstar, she getting her butt handed to her. She's about to be food. What do you call it? So Cyclops and Miss Marvel show up, Marvel Girl, sorry, show up, and they start, going after with each other. And I love the conversation between Brew talking to Miss Marvel and then Miss Marvel talking to Scott. I thought that was a great thing here. But here's the best thing of this entire book if you're looking for the action. Scott is like, hey, what can we do? What's up with here? Blah, 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 blah. Listen, hey, Magic, I need you to make me a gate. In fact, screw that. Make me a lot of gates, but be really careful with your aim because I'm not holding back. First off, he definitely held back because he's not blowing up half the earth with his psychic beams. He has the ability to freaking take out a hand. I was just talking about this in Discord recently with some guys. He had the ability to shoot off the hand of a celestial. That is no joke. When Thor, without Mjolnir, can't penetrate Apocalypse's armor, and that's only a celestial tech, you can't tell me homeboy over here is not going to get jacked. You know what I'm saying? Is not jacked up to the gills if he can take out a freaking celestial's hand. I'm saying that's no small potatoes right there. So he decides to do this thing where she opens up a whole bunch of gates and he just starts shooting into the gates and aims directly at the biggest masses of these guys. Holy crap, I love seeing, like, we've got a new version of the not a new version. We've got something else that the X-Men could do working in team unison, similar to the fastball special. So I can't get over there fast enough, Colossus. Can you throw me over there? Launch me, sucker. Like, and now also we've got this where Cyclops is now more effective. He can get to more battlefield locations and just bloop, 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 bloop. You know what I'm saying? I love that. I love that. All right, real quick, we got a super chat up in here. Captain Commander Cyclops was a badass taking charge. So was Jean Grey, relaying field conditions and magic with the assist. Love tactical combat fights. Comics expertise. Thank you for the $5. Also, you are not wrong, my friend. Go and check out Comics Expertise's channel. Also, he's got a whole bunch of good stuff on his channel. So they straight up jacked these guys up like this. Much like CE, Comics Expertise over here is saying, this was freaking beautiful. This was unbelievably beautiful. This is the kind of stuff that I want to see in an X-Men book. I want to see these mutants who live together, work together, coexist together, finding, like, what are they going to be talking about? One of the things eventually is going to come up, probably in the middle of one of their orgies, and I'm down with X orgies. I'm down with X orgies. I want to see the idea that these guys talk with each other and they find new ways to use their powers in conjunction with each other. Oh, yes, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? What was it? X, right? X. It's not like this is Wakanda forever, right? No. But on the side, X. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to see. What do you call it? So they decide they need to get the heck out of here. They need to get out of Dodge. So they go through one of the portals because they need to get out of Dodge City, that is. And it's like, don't worry, they can't follow us. And fortunately, they can't. Fortunately, they can't. So they've got a little bit of time to, they're on the moon and they're going to try and fly off and go do what they're going to do. Vulcan is on the ship, and this is a funny freaking scene. This vessel is more than capable. It wants to run. There's a great fire waiting to ignite inside this. It's like, yeah, Gabriel, we know everything burns. Just punch it. I need to hear you say it, brother. He's like, Cyclops is like, ugh, I want the fire to be fire. Vulcan's like, I am so signed up for this, forget about it. So they have to find a way to get off planet. Well, they are off planet now, and they have to find a way to get back to where they're going. Now, we're going to start understanding a whole bunch of things with the War of Kings and see what's what. Now, here's something that was freaky as all hell. We have got a new, at least I've never seen this guy before. Has anybody ever seen this accuser before? This Kree accuser? Because there's a lot more accusers than just freaking Ronan, the accuser. In this particular case, we've got what looks to me like a brand new accuser. Dude, that's awesome. Because if I'm remembering correctly, all of these freaking accusers were killed. The only one that was left was Ronan. And he even wound up, if you remember the Royals comic book, that was by Al Ewing. That was where he created the, looking forward to trying to clean up my Al Ewing interview. It was a phone call interview. I had like 15 minutes to hang out with him. Got a whole lot of stuff done. Got him really happy about some stuff too. But he's got a very thick, like Alan Moore style accent. So he mumbled through some of it, or to me at least, mumbled through a lot of it. So I've got to clean up that audio a lot. And then hopefully I'll be able to give that to you guys so you guys can check it out. Anyhow, so yeah, it looks to me, does anybody see that there's a, nope, never seen him before. Pretty sure he's Greg the Accuser. Thank you for that, Joshua. Unbelievable. So anyway, yeah, some kind of a new accuser. Awesome. So what does that mean? Should I have to say it? X-Men issue number 8 looks like the first appearance of a new character. If this turns out to be a really important character, key issue. Yeah. So while everybody's out there getting toilet paper and stuff like that, hey, also, you guys can skip on the toilet paper if you just go out and get a bidet. It was like $35 Canadian. You're not going to have to pay too much money for it. Go to Amazon, find yourself a high-rated bidet. Excuse me, use one of those, hook it up, no electronics necessary, and just, you're golden, man. You don't even need toilet paper. I'm saying. So y'all can have the toilet paper. I'm good. Plus, we have a whole bunch of wipes on back because we have, small kids. So, anyway, freaking toilet paper. So you can see here he beat the living snot out of these the star jammers, and they are like you see black eyes and everything like that. They are hurt bad, and they decide to make a call to Sunspot. Roberto DaCosta's just sitting there hanging out. He's in you remember he bought the apartment building and I think the surrounding ones of Cannonball and Smasher. So that's freaking hysterical. And he doesn't want his own place. He's like, no. I bought the whole building, so I'm gonna live with you. I'm gonna be your roommate. Because Smasher said he doesn't want to. Oh, I love me some DaCosta. And dude, he's done well in this. He's done really well because he's talking and he's just like, oh, hey, what's up? Yeah, thanks for calling. Listen, so here's the deal. You want the king's egg? I don't know where the king's egg, or I don't have the king's egg, but I do know, but I might know where it is. So here's the deal. I'm gonna give you the king's egg. And normally I would say, he's like, but we're gonna make a deal. So I'm going to go with this for a joke. Greg the accuser, he goes and he says, hey, what do you want for the thing back? He's like, normally my price, quid pro quo. How about you beat the crap out of those Star Jammers a little bit more? Why? Why is he so upset at the Star Jammers? If you were reading the New Mutants comic books from a couple issues ago, the ones written by Jonathan Hickman, which is freaking perfect in here. Jonathan Hickman's doing this one. They took them up into space and then they abandoned them. They're like, yeah, sorry, we got this egg and we got to go. We got to go. So we're going to leave you here and you're going to take the fall. And we're pirates. Don't know what to tell you. And it turns out they actually got the thing and left these guys screwed over. So these guys got their butts handed to them because they were supposed to bring this stuff over to the accuser. So anyway, he's like, I'm thinking about killing you guys, but I really just need the stuff back. So Robert says, I'm thinking about having you beat them up a little bit more. But since I'm and I'm a giver, I'm an absolute giver. And he's being, Smasher's like, yeah, you're a real giver. I say, just now, can you please tell me what's going on? So he says, listen, I'm going to give, accuser, I'm going to give you the egg. I'm going to get you the egg. But here's what's going to happen. Send the Star Jammers for it. I'll give it to them. And then they've fulfilled their purpose. And you got to beat up on them. And then just, let them go, whatever. And then we're all good, right? You got what you wanted from who you hired to give it to you, and now nobody has to bother anybody. We're good? By the way, that's my only offer. You going to take it? Fine. I accept your terms. Of course you do. Click. DaCosta's going to get himself in trouble one of these days, but my God, the arrogance on this guy, I love it. I am so there for it. Like, you know what? When are they going to actually make a Roberto DaCosta shirt? Because I think I need one. I'm saying. All right. Maybe I'll make my own. Like, that is freaking awesome. Now, the interesting part is that she goes and she mentions, Smasher goes and mentions, I just checked out the call and like the caller ID, whatever it is, said that it's on the edge of Kree space, of Shi'ar space. Granted, it's only the edge of it, but it is within Shi'ar space. What's a Kree accuser doing inside of Shi'ar space? Cut scene to Gladiator and his son. Oh, yeah. I know there's a whole bunch of Superman-like characters in the Marvel Universe, but I always refer back to Kalark and his son, I can never remember his name, Kubark, who was in the Jean Grey School for Gifted Youngsters under Wolverine. Anyway, these two are hanging out, and they're on a little hunting party. Gladiator's about to turn over the seat of power to not Chandelar, Sandar, whatever her name is. That's the biological daughter of Lilandra and Nirmani and Professor X. So they had that kid, and he's planning on turning the Magister title over to her. So she's going to be in charge. He doesn't really want to be in charge anymore. He just wants to serve the throne, right? So yeah, but he's out on but for now he's still in charge and he's hanging out and they get a call. Wait a second. What do you mean that there's because some of the other Imperial squadron are hanging out there and they're like, yeah, we just got a call from Smasher that there's apparently a Kree accuser over here. He's like, oh, reload, son. We got new targets. Better game. Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see that, dude. I can't wait to see that. what do you call it? So let's you're not wrong there, John. You're not wrong at all. Zandra, thank you, Oni Republic, and Klaztar. Yes, Zandra. So Zandra Normani. Okay, so now let's get to issue number 9 of the New Mutants. This is a freaking weird cover, but I like it. I likes it. Okay, let's move on. So we have got, first off, let's just Ed Brisson is the writer. Flaviano does the art. Carlos Lopez on colors. VC's Travis Lanham on letters. Tom Mueller doing the design. The covers by Rod Reyes. Variant cover by Marcus Martin. Nick Russell doing the production for all these books. And yeah, boom, shaka, laka, boom. So this issue is called Something's Rotten in. This is from the play Hamlet. Something's rotten in Denmark. Yeah. Anyway, so we're seeing this new city called Carnelia. So all sorts of crazy things are happening over here in Carnelia. There's like, no trespassing and stuff like that, but there's some kind of a crazy thing happening, and we're not sure in the beginning what's going on. Wait till you get to the end of this. Holy crap. So Carnelia it's a totally fictional place. It's not real, but it's someplace in the Balkan Mountains? The Carpathian Mountains. Carpathia. Oh, Dracula. Could this actually have some relation? It could. Anyway, for now, they give you a brief rundown of everything. They speak Russian, Ukrainian, and English. Major resources: machinery, electronics, gas, coal, iron ore, copper, lead, zinc, nickel, gold, silver. With that being the case, this can be a very technologically advanced city. They're nestled in I keep saying the Balkans, in the Carpathian Mountains. They call themselves a parliamentary democracy, but they're a former satellite state of the USSR. So there are going to be certain freedoms, and everybody calls themselves a republic, right? America calls itself a republic, for crying out loud. No taxation without representation, baby. That's what I'm talking about. And once we get that again, I'll be a happy man. For now, these guys are right up in here. And you can see where they are. And you know what? When I teach English, this is my background. So just throw this up here. So stay. So right up here is the Ukraine. So they are down here, like around the Budapest area, and not too far from Slovakia, under Poland, all that good stuff. So that's actually where they're nestled. So according to this fictional place, they are nestled right up in here. Right on the edge, right up in here, bordering Slovakia, Budapest, and Romania, and of course the Ukraine. It's actually a part of the Ukraine, but they're calling it a brand new place. So it would be here. Not too shabby, right? So anyway, you guys got to see my other background. Oh, why am I putting that down? So anyway, that's where they are. But with all of these metals, literally every important metal, real metal, not the fictional metals like adamantium and freaking vibranium, the two vibraniums. All of the important metals are there, which means they can be a highly technologically advanced country. More than that, they're completely independent. They don't want to have anything to do with anybody else because apparently like 120 parliamentary members were killed ever since 1920. They've had some problems and whatnot, and they're just like, we don't want to have anything to do with anybody. F y'all. Okay, that's their right. Excuse me. So this is a big time booty issue also. A lot of booties in here. This is where everybody shows up and they start showing, and freaking Chambers here, and he's really upset that Magma's not paying attention. Do you have a crush? Do you have a crush, brah? Anyway, guess whose booty this is? That's a booty. Guess who? Oh, wait, no. Actually, that's his neck. Sorry. I guess I was just, you know what? That's weird. It looks like a booty until you see that there's actually a head up on top. It looks like a booty. All right? Because they've been doing a lot of booties up in here. Anyway, so it's not actually a booty. You know what? I'm going to correct myself. My bad. Verendi. I'm seeing Verendi. Verendi. Stupid kids. So, you remember there was like 6 commanders or something like that, battlefield commanders, but captains, 6 battlefield captains, but Cyclops is considered the commander. So when everybody's just hanging out and whatever, they're all 100% equal with each other, right? Except that Cyclops is showing that he's not. He's a lot more, He's got more sway, or at least he's acting like it. The only time that he's got more sway is when he's actually on the battlefield with other captains. Then he becomes the commander. He goes up one. It's kind of like in the military, in the army. I can speak for the army at least. There's the 5-star general of the army. Right now, there is no 5-star general of the army because we're not technically at war. Oh, we've got 8 wars going on and a whole bunch of other crazy stuff going on, but we're not actually declared war. So we've only got up to 4-star generals and a bunch of them. But if we ever actually went to war, there would be a 5-star general. And that's very similar to what's going on here with Cyclops, except it automatically goes into place. So, was it 4? I thought it was 6. Anyway, whatever it is, yeah, he's the guy. He's got the juice. Nice one. So these guys are, these two are hanging out with each other, and it's funny because they're talking about a thing where magic wasn't even there. This is the stuff going on back in. Remember, this is Ed Brisson doing this. Ed Brisson is writing this issue. So Ed Brisson was also writing the issue in the New Mutants back earlier, where what do you call it? Beak and all of those, all that crazy stuff, and Boom Boom showed up and saved everybody. Armor was out there, but Magic, who was off planet at the time, is being questioned about this. Okay, that's protocol and it's fair. It's 100% fair. But all that being what it is, it's also kind of wrong. He's really holding her to task for this. And it's my understanding that he doesn't have the right to do that. But I digress. So he's coming down harder. At one point, she just winds up walking away. Because, they didn't kill any humans. And they were depowered and all this crazy stuff, but they didn't kill any humans. One human did die, but that was self-inflicted. If you remember, the main boss killed himself. He offed himself. He's like, I'm not going to be taken alive. Okay, cute. We didn't do that to you, and we didn't even let you do that. You just did it really quick before anybody had a chance to really come back hard at him, Anyhow, so it's funny that they're not talking about all the other crazy stuff that happened, including on the Marauder, where Iceman went up and almost killed people and started breaking off people's arms, jacking up people's ligaments and whatnot. That was a lot more malicious than what happened with the New Mutants. So I know that Brisson is writing both of these two books, this New Mutants right now. So he's writing both of those two stories, this one and that one we just saw. But I would like to see Jerry Duggan have something to do with, talking, or maybe Brisson, having that be addressed also, because I loves me some Iceman. I'm glad they did something with him. But if they're going to talk about that, this here, they need to talk about that there or somewhere. Just saying. So anyway, we have got, yeah, a lot of it is just Boom Boom being Boom Boom. But these guys all decide to go off by themselves. And in this, I do not see Magic, which is really bad for them because Boom Boom decides to go off to Carnelia because, and she takes a couple of people with her, including Danny Moonstar. That's disappointing because Moonstar is supposed to be a leader. She is straight up supposed to be a leader. She's an amazing leader. I'm just putting myself out there. But anyway, a couple of these New Mutants, including Magma, who technically also leader, they go to Carnelia because they find out that there's a mutant there. Now, one of the main problems with Carnelia is since they get away from everybody. Is there actually a person in my chat called Cyclops is better than Wolverine? You are freaking awesome, dude. Cyclops is Marvel's best battle commander, and Marvel, yes, better than Captain America. Well, I love your name. I disagree with that. Maybe one of these days we'll have that discussion, but neither here nor now. So Carnelia is one of those countries that does not recognize what do you call it? Krakoa. Now that's fine. There's lots of countries that don't do that. But they're not openly hostile either. They're a reclusive nation, much like, for the most part, Krakoa is, but it's even more so. And since they're nestled in the Krakoan mountains, there's no gate even close to them. And so it's hard to get to Carnelia. So they decided, let's just get in this freaking thing and let's, let this ship that they got from old Cable who died, the old man Cable, and they decided, let's shoot over there. Now, here's one of the problems with the nation not being recognized. If a nation does not recognize another nation, what happens, it's really basic. What happens is there are no ambassadors in that nation to communicate with each other. So communication becomes very hard. If one nation does not recognize another, then they will neither have an ambassador in that nation, nor will they have an ambassador from that nation in their own nation. Recognizing another nation is mostly about communication. So there might be many reasons for no communication. One of them is if there is no, many reasons for not recognizing another nation. The defaults of that are, hey, we can't set up trade because I can't talk to you. You know what I'm saying? War can still happen. I can still take over a nation that I don't recognize, and we can still call you by your nation, but that's something entirely different. The trick is the communication. And it could be an ambassador or it could be smaller like sub ambassadors, but there is a main figurehead there in order to communicate with you. And if you also want to have it so that, hey, you guys can freely travel to mine, we'll just do some paperwork for your citizens, then you can have multiple people over there. We can actually have a small part. The interesting part is Krakoa doesn't allow that. Unless you've got a mutant in your nation that you want to be the ambassador over here, which I would love to see that. If you're going to get political, let's actually get political. Let's really go balls to the wall with this. I would love to see them say, hey, you've got a couple mutants over there. We want you to be able to send the mutants over, in which case we'll send you over some supplies and whatnot. You got to have two people being able to talk to each other. And they say, well, okay, fine. How about if you have a place over here? You'll have a small, it could just be the size of like a building and the immediately surrounding property. It doesn't have to be very big. Look at all of the embassies that we have here and in other countries. It's a very small area, but that area is considered sovereign, that country's area. So the American embassy in Saudi Arabia, actually, I think we have two. I know we have one in Jeddah, and I think there's one in Riyadh also. Anyway, the Canadian one is in Jeddah, and Riyadh is actually the capital. Anyhow, so that area in Saudi Arabia actually belongs to America. So, you know what I'm saying? You can claim asylum in there and everything. If you're an American citizen, you can claim asylum there if you're being persecuted or you're afraid of persecution. They can get you out or try to get you out of the country. The trick is you have to fly over their airspace. So there's a lot of diplomatic issues with there. A lot. Of course, you don't need to worry about that if you've got a Krakoan vine in there, one of the transporters. So, like I said, there's so much that you could do with this stuff. There's so much that you can do with this. But what if you said, hey, you got a mutant over there? Why don't you have one of your mutants be our ambassador or be your ambassador, and then he can actually set up shop over here in Krakoa? I would love to see that. What a great way to introduce new characters. What a great way to have, more diplomatic relations being set up and whatnot. Hey, we're going to recall our ambassador. What if your ambassador doesn't want to go? Because he's also technically a dual citizen of Krakoa. Like look at the international incidents that this can cause. Dude, if you're going to go political, effing go political. That's what I'm talking about. Anyhow, so for now, they just can't really communicate with each other. You know what I'm saying? You can always communicate through other means. You can, a lot of times, like with North Korea, we communicate through the press or internet or Twitter. You know what I'm saying? We can communicate with North Korea. We don't have an embassy over there, but we can communicate them through the press. That's always the default way to do it. You make a statement to the press. They will, of course, see it because it's going to go viral. And then, oh, interesting. Okay. And then they'll make a statement to the press and then it gets back to us. And it's like, there's always some kind of a middleman, even if it's just somebody who flies over or whatever, there's always going to be some kind of a middleman. That's how North Korea and South Korea have gotten along since the Korean War. So there's that. Anyway, so they have to go over to Carnelia and figure out what's going on. Now, what's this guy's name again? Mondo? Something like that? Yeah, Mondo. So Mondo, he's the guy who hooked up with Krakoa and became like a part, and Krakoa spoke through him. He does it again here. The price is he's got to be able to give in this case, multiple punches to Cypher. Yeah, that can be fun. So anyway, I can't wait to see that at some point. Like that's just going to be freaking hysterical. So anyway, they got to hook up with each other because they got to figure out what's going on. One of the things they're figuring out that's going on is this girl right here. Brand new character, first appearance of the character in this comic book. So issue number 9, New Mutants, potentially key issue, brand new mutants showing up. Natasha Tashi Rapina. I guess that's how you pronounce her name. I suck with names. I think you guys know that by now. So she is in here, and she's apparently got a couple powers on her own. I'm going to get into that in a moment because you see this big space bubble over here. Her parents are dead, and the girl is missing. So what's going on over here? The New Mutants show up. They're like, hey, instead of shooting us, why don't you let us help? And he says, fine. Worst case scenario, 5 more dead mutants. I'm okay with that because all of this happened once you came over here. We also find out that Boom Boom over here, she has the ability to speak Russian. Lots of X-Men could speak Russian, right? We didn't know that she could speak Russian. Why? Why can she speak Russian? Oh yeah, my fence could only speak Russian, so I had to learn a couple words to be able to communicate with him. And it's like, wait, your fence? She's like, friend. I meant friend. I I love the way that Boom Boom is being written right now. Right now, she is one of my favorite New Mutants. I love that. Anyway, so Karma decides, hey, there's this big blobbiest thing over here. Let me see if I can try and take possession of it, and try and have a communication back and forth. And this is the result. She's like, please stop, please stop. And it's actually manipulating reality all around her. Interesting. Not just manipulating powers, but manipulating reality and doing all sorts of crazy things here. What do you call it? Anyway, so all sorts of crazy things because this thing has the ability to manipulate reality. Oh, interesting. So now look at what this just did. Look at what this just did for the mutants, for the X-Men, for the whole Dawn of X series. We've got the Great Pretender. What's her name? Scarlet Witch, right? She's no longer a mutant. We don't know what the hell she is, but all of a sudden, boom, we've got this. A new reality manipulator. Could this eventually be used as a weapon against Scarlet Witch? Because with this cult following that Apocalypse has, with Exodus leading the cult seemingly, could they actually decide amongst themselves, hey, let's get, Tashi over here once they fix her. I'm hoping they're going to fix her, help her out. Couldn't we get her to go after Scarlet Witch? Because she's got the ability of reality manipulation, which is, mind you, focused on mostly focused on probability or probability based. But imagine if they were to do that. So now here's what's especially interesting. They go into Mutant Liberation Front territory. Cypher goes in there because he's got to figure something out. And who does he go on and talk to? Here's the last page. He talks to Wildside. My God, man. What the heck is going on here? So, Wildside has a form of reality manipulation of his own. And then later on, he wound up getting a second. So he's mostly just this guy that runs around and slashes people with his claws and his fangs, right? Another one of these wild child, Wolverine, Sabretooth type characters, right? Except he's also got this minor form of reality manipulation. He wound up getting a secondary mutation at one point where he actually makes them solidified, which makes it essentially true reality manipulation. Because while before it was kind of like illusions, but whatever. Once he had the secondary mutation, this is basically reality manipulation. And he's considered, if I remember correctly, alpha level, or at least he's demonstrated alpha level abilities. Now, he doesn't have the same control that like a Scarlet Witch would have, but he does have an almost immeasurable amount of power. And he's going to be going up against this other reality manipulation character. I am so happy to see Wildchild brought into the game, brought into the fold like this. This could genuinely be fun. So that's the end of that. Guys, I am so enamored with what they are doing right now. Holy crap. When you think about all this crazy that can happen from this point on. Let's start seeing what kind of stuff we got going on in the chat. I've been going for an hour and 15 minutes, it looks like. So let's try. Oh my God, Federico Blay. What's up, sir? How are you doing today, sir? None of your colors in these books. What a shame. Isn't Scarlet Witch an experiment from the High Evolutionary? Can't remember if I dreamed that. Um, she was originally considered a mutant, and then much later, actually more recently than later, she was considered an Inhuman. That's when they're like, "Hey, you and Pietro, Quicksilver, you're not really my children." Magneto said that. "You're not really my children. What's going on here? Polaris is my only kid." So they were supposed to be Inhumans. Then they're like, "Well, you know what? We don't know what's going on now." And it was mostly because they had the right to use, Marvel, the MCU had the right to use them because they were one of those fringe characters, like the Kingpin. Actually, not even really like the Kingpin. The Kingpin they only put in TV, not in the actual movies, so they were allowed to get away with that. Anyway, so now at this point they don't know what's going on. But yes, Bova was, the cow. It was like a mutated cow the High Evolutionary made, like one of the new men. Bova was actually taking care of Wanda and all that stuff and taught her magic. Agatha Harkness came along and she was teaching her magic also, going up against the Salem Seven of one of the Fantastic Four books. All sorts of crazy mixed up in there. But they thought that, okay, she just, what do you call it? So originally her powers were probability manipulation only, whereas external, where she can make like, oh, you're running. I'm going to use my hex power. They call it the hex power. And like, oh, a banana just appeared. What were the chances of that happening? And oh, look, I can't reach that lever to make this cage lift up and save my friends, but I'll use my probability. What's the probability of that thing, of that lever going up by itself? Oh, and it worked. So it was literally like the most ridiculous omni power ever. I'm glad they actually fixed it. Later on, they started calling it chaos magic. That was when she went bonkers crazy multiple times. At one point in one of the West Coast Avengers books, she actually scratched. You know how powerful the ionic powers of Wonder Man, Simon Williams, are. She actually scratched his penis. When I was a kid, I thought she actually cut it off because like they it was like an off panel thing. They only showed him from like the waist up, but like she jacked his ass up and he was like like this and like I'm a little kid reading this like, oh, I hate the Scarlet Witch forever. I hate her forever. And everybody was looking like, Simon, are you okay? I'm like, you're making it worse. Like it was wow. Wow. Anyway, the chaos magic thing stopped right after Avengers disassembled, and it wound up being identified as pure reality manipulation during the House of M, which House of M took place immediately after the Avengers disassembled, and Professor X did the whole thing to expand the reach of her powers, and she wound up taking over the whole world with her reality manipulation. Anyway, she's got reality manipulation, but it is probability based. In fact, I forget which issue that was. There was a comic book recently where she emphasizes, I have reality manipulation, but it's with a bias towards probability. Actually, I think that was in Star issue number 2 by um, uh, Kelly Thompson. And that just came out a couple weeks ago. That's where all of a sudden that came out. So anyway, yes, there's that. Let's see. So yeah, she does know a couple of spells also, but yeah. Yes, John, using Wild Side here is a very interesting choice. Oni Megan can also disrupt and control energies. They should have brought her in. That they're not doing a lot with Megan except off panel she's babysitting Drogo, which is interesting. Dogo anyway. I want to see Polaris or Magneto comment on the Scarlet Witch. Agreed. Megan is more of an elemental and white magic. Agreed also. Agreed also. The white magic meaning that it only affects her for the most part, not really other people. Hence her shape changing and all that good stuff. But yeah, the elemental as well. Where the hell is Warpath and Thunderbird? Here's the thing. Do we really want Thunderbird back? Because one of the best legacies of Thunderbird is that he is a legacy, not a legacy character. Meanwhile, technically, Warpath is one of the earliest legacy characters, if you think about it, right? Anyway, so yeah, I would like to see more Warpath. He does appear once in a while, but for the most part, not really. And that's a shame. How about Bedlam? Jesse Bedlam of X-Force. That could work. There's a bunch of characters that could work. Just they chose to use Wildside. Scratched his Bemis. That's Fuss. Charles dead. Klaztar wasn't wanted possessed by yes, she was possessed by Chthon, which is an no, I think that's pretty much the correct spell. I think that's the correct spelling. But yes, he is an elder god. He does appear once in a while. That was actually the time the I think she was possessed by Chthon twice. The whatever. But anyway, she it was at least one of those times. That's when she actually did that in the West Coast Avengers. Lord Kinboat is here. What's up, dude? Where you been? When Scarlet Witch goes crazy, Cap gives her a pass, but when Cyclops is possessed by a death bird, Cap treats him like a terrorist. Okay, here's the thing that we all have to keep on trying to remember. The way that Captain America is not a crossover character between X-Men and the Avengers. All right, he's just not. You got to remember that the X-Men have always, since their inception, pretty much been written as an isolated team. That was never shown more so than once the all different X-Men showed up with Giant Size X-Men issue #1 and then issue number 94 of the Uncanny X-Men and on. The original X-Men were, for the most part, very much like the Inhumans. In fact, the Inhumans interacted with the rest of the Avengers and everything much more frequently than the X-Men did. There was like the one crossover where X-Men versus the Avengers. And then for the most part, aside from a little like short story or, a mini series, a limited series here and there, you would never really see the X-Men interact with other people. It was always in a crossover book, or a crossover title, as opposed to in the main books. That started to change a lot when they started trying to find reasons to get rid of mutants, because now we're in the movie business, and since we can't use them, let's get a reason to get them off camera. I don't care what Marvel's excuse was back in the day. We've seen the evidence. The evidence was real. So anyway, what we wound up seeing is that where was I going with this? Oh, with Captain America, though, the X-Men editors or the X-Men writers, Chris Claremont, whomever, have often put Captain America in there as the representation of what the rest of the humans would actually be. But Captain America, written in X-Men comic books, has almost consistently always been written out of character. You can look back. Like if you're a genuine X-Men fan who's gone back and read the Chris Claremont books back in the day, you've seen that when the trial of Magneto showed up, why did Magneto choose to surrender to Captain America and the Avengers? It was because Captain America showed up and he was like, "Oh, you're the best of us, and you're this and you're that and whatever." And remember, at the time, they were really focusing on the idea that Magneto, when he had his helmet off, actually had some telepathic abilities. He was able to astral project and everything. But he wanted to see what Captain America was really about. And he violently went into Captain America's mind and started probing him. And it was so powerful that Cap actually wasn't able to resist. But for the most part, Cap wasn't really trying too hard to resist. He was just dealing with the pain because Magneto was like punishing him and whatnot. And he was like, "Oh, let's see what you really think." And Magneto stopped. He was like, "I can't believe it. You actually don't hate us. There's like nothing prejudice inside of you whatsoever." And Cap's like, "Yeah, ow, it's true. That's why I want to take you in for a fair trial. You just destroyed a nuclear submarine. You killed everybody on the crew. That's kind of a big deal. You have to answer for that. You have to answer for that in our courts." So, yeah, that was a really big deal. You have to always remember, Captain America today and for the past maybe decade has always been written in the X-Men comic books very out of character with the actual way that Captain America has always been written. So I hear you. You're not wrong, but you're not right either. It's one of those things. Professor X sign out on Excalibur, god awful issue last time. Yeah, if you saw me review it, I actually got angry reading it. And I hate getting angry reading a comic book, but I was also in a really bad place in the world at that moment. So yeah, I'm gonna try and, like I just hope like if Teenie Howard ever sees that review, I hope she doesn't take it personally. Um, and if she ever did see it, I would genuinely apologize to her because I don't want her to think that I'm attacking her. But yeah, I was really out of sorts in that day, and that just it. Bottom line, it really just wasn't written well at all, in my opinion. Every single character was written so completely out of character that it's just like it's such an extreme because you can always try and make a character your own, but at some points, like, come on, man. Like these, why do you even have these characters in here with their names? Just make new characters at this point. Um, I want to see Gambit, Rogue, and Iceman written by Hickman. Oh, we could see it. We could see it. Come to think of it, Boom Boom used to be dumb. Now she's smart. She's smarter, but she's also growing up. That's one of the great things about writing. Yes, Elizabeth Braddock used to be smart. Now she's dumb. That I have to 100% agree with. The Boom Boom thing is understood because she's grown up. She was written as a kid and written into the comics as a kid. Now she's an older kid. She's seen some more stuff. Betsy Braddock, however, used to be shy but ridiculously smart and very brave, when push came to shove. And now also very innovative. Like, was she the first person who used to unite all of the X-Men's minds together? I can't remember, but I think she was. That's the first time I remember ever reading it. Like when she had that psionic thing, she looked at it as, you know what? Here's all these different X-Men. Let me link everybody's minds to each other so that, oh, if you're going to do this, everybody knows you're going to do this, and they can adjust quickly. And whoever our leader is, be it Cyclops or Storm, whoever, the team leader gets to, call out, okay, X-Men, utilize maneuver 46 or whatever that Batman kind of thing that happens. You know what I'm saying? Like you do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you need to do. And like it made them such a great team. It was amazing. It was amazing. And that's the kind of thing that I would like to see again. But I'm not going to see that nowadays. I'm going to see this silly version of Betsy Braddock that I just am not enjoying. And things happen in the comic book that aren't followed up on later. And it's like, what is happening? Because you just said this and now I'm seeing this. And what's going on here? So yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, do you think no, I'm not going to take anything back I said about the book, but like I said, I don't want Teenie Howard to think that I'm making a personal attack against her. That's not who I am. I don't like to make personal attacks against anybody, unless you're a comics gator, in which case, screw you. You know what I'm saying? Grow up. What if they migrate Captain America from the Mutant X universe to, but then he wouldn't really be much of an ambassador? No, the idea is they just have to try and get this a little bit better. They have to make him done better. Hey, Alexander, what's going on? A bunch of thumbs up from Kaloy's Comics. What's up? I don't speak Tagalog. I only know Salamat. Salamat. That's all I know. Let's see. Great rant. Oh, yep, not taking it back. She made a funnel of psychic energy, sort of. Was Cyclops always this cool and charismatic in the older X-Men comics? No. In the older X-Men comics, like when he was originally written by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and then whomever later on, he was a kid. And Professor X was really calling all the shots. And you started seeing Cyclops trying to take over a leadership position. But for the most part, he was very young. He didn't really make any stupid mistakes necessarily, but he did make mistakes, and he was written well. In my opinion, he was written well. They were always a kid team, and then later on, he was done to be very angry. He didn't like the idea the X-Men were changing. All the original X-Men left, except for him, and then there's all these new X-Men here, and he really didn't get along with Wolverine at all. He was always hitting on Jean, especially in the X-Men Classics comic books, which were the same books, from Giant Size X-Men on. They were reprints of those, but they also had extra stories in the back, and you really get to see Iceman didn't get along with him. Angel didn't get along with him, especially when in X Factor he wound up becoming Archangel. Oh, they hated each other. They hated each. They went for each other's throats, legit. Um, what have you now? And Cyclops just never really got along with him. But Cyclops also didn't really get along with Storm too well. He was always yelling at these new X-Men, like, you guys don't follow my orders. My other team would at least follow my orders all the time. It worked out really well. Yeah, but for reading purposes, because you have to separate the two. The teams worked better in the original X-Men comic books. But when you had the new team coming in, they weren't interested in the old guard that is Cyclops. And it was like, they're not listening to me. It's like, yeah, they're not going to listen to you. And it made for great team dynamics for the reader where it's like, how is he going to lead this team? And eventually you realize that, Storm was going to take over the team because Storm was like even powerless. She was kicking everybody's butt. She knocked down the dude that couldn't be knocked down. She beat up Callisto and took over the Morlocks. She beat up Cyclops and took over the X-Men. She was straight jacking fools up, and she didn't even have her powers, brah. I'm saying, like, Storm was the boss. So yeah. What have you now? I'm going to try and finish this up really quick because I have been going for an hour and a half now. Boom Boom is a young adult when introduced to the team. She wasn't a runaway. Wasn't she a runaway taking care of herself on the streets? Yes. No, Skids was a little bit different. Skids was actually a part of the military, ish. She was like a covert ops for that. So no, Skids was a little bit different. She did have her own background, somewhat similar, but she wound up working her way into actually working for the military, like a version of Shield, an offshoot of Shield or something to that effect. Do you think a nation will attack Krakoa? Yes, if they're doing things right. I think they will, and I think it'd be great. I think only a fool would want to beef with a country ran by Apocalypse and Magneto, but would be cool to see Krakoa go to war. Yeah, if they went in with conventional military weapons, but look at all the little attacks that they've done, and the X-Men simply weren't prepared. And I mean, like, yeah, Professor X could take out an entire military fleet for the most part, but what happens if they find a way to take out Magneto? You know what I'm saying? Then what do? Rely on Polaris? Like, at the end of the day, what if they've also got, like, ceramic boats? Because anything can float. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but like, especially if you go to parts of New Jersey, Cape May, and places like that, you can actually see that there are concrete boats. Yes, they made boats out of concrete. They weren't the greatest because once they got hit, they would crack and then they would take on water. But even concrete can be buoyant. So they, like, dude. And then you look at the idea of the old metal warships like the Monitor and the Merrimack, like, they actually made metal warships and people were like, metal can't float. What are you doing? They made them buoyant. So they could do anything and make it buoyant. And if you got these, if you got a good sized Navy, you could take some fools out. I'm saying, New Mutants versus New Warriors in 2020. Wasn't there a spoiler that Betsy is Go? What does Go mean? Is she going to war with Krakoa? No, no, she's not going to. I've never seen that she's going to war with Krakoa. X-Men Class my favorite. I also love Jubilee, Firestar, and Justice in the New Mutants. I know in the movie Scarlet Witch wasn't called a mutant, but when she did that come to be in the comics, the Sentinels would hunt her and Quicksilver on the regular. Yeah, whatever. Like, did they explain that? Whatever. There's a lot of things that just haven't really been explained before. So, is what it is. Wasn't Doug's throat got slashed by Wolverine in the hunt for Wolverine? There's a lot happening here. This is mostly just supposed to be about these books in general. Anyway, yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired. So I'm going to actually bounce out of here. Guys, it's been a whole lot of fun. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. And I'm going to bounce. Special thanks to Federico Blee for showing up in the chat. Thank you, sir. Genuinely appreciated. Can't wait till you get your better microphone so we can actually try and have a conversation. I would love to talk to you about your approach in colors in the comics because hell's to the yes. If Sabretooth didn't show up for Logan's birth, you know what? If there's a way to bring him back, that's the way to bring him back. I'm saying. So yeah, I fully support that, Lord Kinboat. Anyway, I'm out of here now, guys. Talk to y'all later. I'm gonna go get some nibblies and watch some TV with the wife. because I'm, for the sake of conversation, my kids aren't going back to school anytime soon. Tomorrow's the last day of school before coronavirus. See, I'm thinking too far in advance. I'm thinking faster than I can speak. Before March break. After March break, my kids still aren't going back until I'm pretty sure that it's safe out there. I'm just not playing around with that. I'm simply not. So yeah, I already just a matter of short time, man. Awesome. I'm looking forward to it, sir. But I'm not clowning around with that, and I highly recommend if you guys are able to, don't do it. Also, I'm fortunate in that I've got Comic Book University, and I teach English as a second language to kids in China. Can't get the coronavirus through the internet, to the best of my knowledge. I'm being silly, but you can't do it that way. So I'm not worried. I don't ever have to leave the house if I don't want to, except to get food. And dude, I can honestly batten down these hatches and I'm good for 2 months if I needed to, minimum. Before all of a sudden it's like, we're starting to run out of water, but we still get water coming into the house. So, like we can go for a while and we're good. But all that being said, yeah, I'm not going to batten down the hatches like that. My wife still goes to work and whatnot. She works outside of the house. But yeah, I'm minimizing my opportunities to go to the mall and things like that. I'm actually canceling my Bloodshot thing. We're supposed to go and do a watch party to see the Bloodshot movie tomorrow. Not happening. I'm not doing it now because yeah. So, and I highly recommend you guys try to minimize your contact with large crowds because yeah, just seriously, keep safe, my peeps. Keep safe. All right, Comic Book University alumni, I am out. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.